All right, Wayne Bettis here, the founder of the Off the Tools podcast. I just want to introduce you to our brand new sponsor, directplumbing.supplies.com. It is founded by a former tradesman who has set up his own plumbing and heating merchants. He has an online shop, which is obviously at directplumbing.supplies.com, and he delivers across the UK. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Welcome to the Off the Tools podcast, in association with the Worcester Bosch 8000 Lifestyle Range.
Welcome to the podcast. We've got Wayne Bettis on again. Wayne, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me again. And if you're on my show, let's introduce you to the show. Hello, Dom. Welcome to my show.
Brilliant. Thank you, mate. Well, this is a bit of a different one, isn't it? We're obviously doing this remotely in the lockdown period of the COVID-19, the coronavirus.
Yep.
So there's an opportunity here, to get a load of content out, cover a load of topics. So we've been speaking off mic briefly. Obviously, you're tucked away, self-isolating in Cornwall with the family.
Yep.
We've got a load of topics to cover, so we thought we'd start on. It's a bit of a controversial one, but obviously, reading some of the Facebook posts and everything else that we've seen recently in all the different plumbing and gas groups. At the minute, as it stands, what are we on? We're on Thursday. Is it the 25th of March?
26th today. 26th.
The government advised 26th.
Yep.
So, are we, as gas engineers and plumbers, are we considered key workers? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the elephant in the room at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one. For me, personally, my personal opinion on this is if there's a situation that endangers life or property that we can deal with, then for me, we become a key worker at that point. And only at that point when there's a threat to property or life, obviously life being the more important, of course. Apart from that, in my opinion, we shouldn't be at work. That's my very quick sort of answer to that question. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with that. I mean, like we said off mic, there are people going out and doing non-emergency or non-critical things that can just wait. One topic actually, which I haven't mentioned, which I'd be keen to discuss with you, and obviously there's been guidance on the Gas Safe Register, is landlords' gas safety checks, and obviously the ones that fall during this period. Obviously, they're saying, again, at this day, if the engineer's not showing any symptoms, if none of the tenants are showing symptoms, and the landlord's happy, we can attend. What are your views on that?
See, to me, this
think it's okay?
This is absolute crap, right? There is a far bigger majority of households that don't get checked annually. Yeah, homeowners, there's no legislation and no law to get their boiler checked. So in this extreme situation, this unprecedented times, the Gas Safe Register, for me, they've slipped up here, because we should not be going to do gas safety checks into multiple houses. You know what the council contracts and boiler contract people are like. You're getting 7 to 12 jobs a day on gas safety work. And it's, like I say, the vast majority of homes in the UK have no law to get their boiler checked. So for this period of time, for me, the Gas Safe Register should have said they're suspending it for 2 months. We'll forget about it unless someone reports an issue at that, because it's just endangering life, endangering the spread of this disease. And I'm that, to be honest, that's really annoyed me. Some individual people have annoyed me through this situation, but the Gas Safe Register for me are leaders. We have to take, they're meant to be leading the situation, and it seems like they're 2 weeks behind in doing anything, and it's frustrating me, definitely. What do you think? What's your take on it, Dom?
I think in a world we live in at the minute, everybody is so scared to make a stance, to say the wrong thing, at the risk of being sued, fined, and all the rest of it, everyone just tries to play it safe. And in a time like this, it just doesn't fucking work. Excuse the language, but it just doesn't.
Yeah, no.
People need hard and fast, clear rules that can't be misinterpreted. It's like all the
you need
faffing
it
about
black
that's
and
going on
white.
with the construction workers. They're saying, yes, you can go, but you can't be in 2 meters. How the fuck's that going to work if you've got someone on a hod with a load of bricks passing it to the next person? What are they going to do? Ugh. Yeah,
it's crazy. There's a saying, isn't there? When
as a human race,
when
we'll hear.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a bit of time delay here, so my apologies to the listeners. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We're just lacking solid leadership. I feel that to me seems to be, we need a like you said, a clear, concise direction and guidelines to follow, because there's just too many rabbit holes in what's coming out at the moment. Just too many little loopholes and rabbit holes for people to exploit.
Okay, on that note, you sort of made quite a bit of a valid point. With the gas safety checks, do you think even private households, homeowners rather than landlords, should have one as a legal requirement?
So yeah, it's something that actually I wanted to start pushing a bit of a campaign about in the summertime. I think there's two takes on this, in my opinion. There should be, when you sell a house, as a bare minimum, there should be a gas safety check issued on every single sold house, because you're basically passing somebody else that product within that sale. So that's the bare minimum. I then think it should even be further, and it should be the same as landlords. It should be that every single homeowner across the country should have an annual gas safety check, because why you're basically saying tenants' lives are more important than homeowners? Because why do the tenants get the protection and the safety of it getting checked, but the homeowner doesn't?
Yeah,
I don't get it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. No, completely agree. I think, again, it's almost like the one rule for one rule for another. It's a home is a home, whether you own it, rent it. People and families are still living there, and like you say, if there are gas appliances, a gas appliance can go wrong in a private home just as much as it could in a tenanted place. So yeah, I completely agree on that one, Wayne.
I also think
Go on.
the stock. So landlords have had these checks done for years and years and years. I don't know when it become law for landlords to have gas safety checks. Homeowners have obviously never had it. So there is so much risk out there that isn't getting seen or highlighted. It just seems a crazy situation to be in 2020, that people aren't getting their boilers checked, and it's mandatory. You can't drive a car around without an MOT, but you can have your boiler running for 10, 15, 20 years without anybody seeing it. It baffles me, really baffles me.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Maybe, obviously, because it's only a recommendation, isn't it, for it to be serviced in the manufacturer's instructions at the moment. Maybe that could be the way to do it, rather than it being recommendation only. It to be a law.
Yeah, so sort of the manufacturers sort of trying to insist it, which I suppose they do, don't they, to a degree, because their guarantees are only valid if it's been serviced. So I suppose we are moving in the right direction. It's just some people don't care. Some people don't care if they get boilers out of guarantee. They might only have a 5-year guarantee, so they think, it doesn't matter, it's going to last longer than that anyway. But yeah, and and from a selfish point of view, the volume of work that would create would be great as well. So I think it will help the economy and improve safety. So for me, that's a win-win. And when something is a win-win, you should follow it. It should be something that goes ahead. If everyone wins in a deal, why you do the deal, don't you? Yeah. So that's me. That's my take on it.
No, brilliant. Okay, perfect, mate. So back to the key worker bit. So if obviously this is a reasonably common one, if a customer doesn't have heating or hot water at the minute in this time, would you consider that an emergency?
On the face value, my initial reaction right now would be no. But I would then follow up with a series of questions. So, do they have young children? Do you know, if they answer yes or no to that question, do you know, that's going to change my view. Are they over the age of 65? Again, that's going to it's going to sway my perception on whether or not that is an emergency. So I think I basically it's a individual. There's no blanket. You can't make a blanket rule. You can put some guidelines in place, and then as long as the criteria is met, then it becomes a priority urgent job in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
my children suffer with asthma, for example.
All those. Yeah. Yeah. So
that if I rang up, that would be
sort of,
urgent.
the flip side. Yeah. Yeah. So, but if they're over 65 or they're young children, equally in this time, they're probably considered at risk from the virus. So it's another thing to consider, isn't it? It's almost, yes, you qualify, but equally, no, you don't qualify because of what's going on.
Yeah, and that all comes down to taking your own precautions, I feel. So you, as the engineer going to that job, have to be strict. You have to tell that customer, look, we're classing this as an emergency because of who you are, the questions you've answered. So now you need to do certain things. You need to stay in the other room. Any vulnerable people in that property need to be kept upstairs or in a separate room, well away from wherever you are. As the engineer, you got to go into that house. Don't touch things. Don't touch things you don't need to touch. Wear gloves. Wear a mask. Sanitize. You know, make sure that you're not in there for any prolonged period of times that you don't need to be. There's no time for chit chats and being courtesy. You can't shake hands. You know, you can't greet each other. We're in a different world. So if the person's vulnerable, I think making an extra conscious effort to be safe, then I think at that point you can go into that house and try and get them out of the pickle, because I don't know what the exact stat is, but a hell of a lot of people die from fuel poverty each year in the UK. And what that means is the poor buggers couldn't turn their heating on because they didn't have the money to pay for it. So we don't want to be in a situation where we're not responding to urgent calls for fear of spreading the virus when we could be causing more damage. Like an elderly person that is vulnerable and cold, the mornings are still freezing cold. Even though the days at the moment are sunny and beautiful, the mornings and nights are freezing cold. So you don't want to leave it. It's very difficult. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying other people are wrong. I'm just saying what I feel. And I feel that with reasonable steps and precautions, then we can respond to them jobs suitably.
Yeah, no, great answer, mate. Obviously, as well, another point, there's a lot of worried business owners that are waiting to see what the government are coming up with for help for the self-employed or business owners. What are the sort of steps that people can take to maybe reduce that stress in this time?
Oh gosh, yeah. So I think there's like a few different takes on this, and the answer I'm gonna give here is gonna be more focused on the one-man bands, one-woman bands. You know, the small self-employed people, because there's different rules for bigger companies, and so I'm going to focus my answer around the smaller self-employed people, maybe 1 or 2 employees, sort of small size. First thing you've got to do is try and get whatever money you're owed into your bank account. That has to take precedent. So if you've got any companies, any people owing you money, you've got to try and get that in, because it's your money. It's your money. You need it in your bank right now. Then you've got sort of, in a way, this is like a positive thing on it, because we can now start looking at what we're spending. We've got a bit of time. Most of us aren't out. We can now sit there and think, right, I'm paying 12 quid a month for this app on Apple or whatever. Do I need that? No. It's right. Scrap it off. Do I need the extra movie sports channels or whatever it is in there? Scrap it off. There's going to be loads of small payments that, during normal times, it doesn't matter. A few quid here, a few quid there, you just sort of let it happen. But by cutting them off now, you're just going to be helping yourself, relieving that little bit of stress regards how much you've got to pay out. Today is the 26th of March, and this situation is so volatile. Things are changing every single, probably by the hour. But today, self-employed people should hear, I believe, some more support that is going to be coming. But that said, we can't just rely on the government to help us. We have to help ourselves as well. So we have to be responsible and cut back on the food shops. We can't go out much. If you need to go and get food, don't buy the expensive bottle of champagne or Prosecco. Do you know what I mean? You have to box a little bit clever, stay as lean as we can, and hopefully we can all band together with the help of the government, with the help of ourselves, helping ourselves. We can sort of push through and come out in a stronger, more viable position as things move forward.
Yeah, definitely. And there's obviously there's the option of payment holiday on your mortgage, as we mentioned, and payment holidays if you've got either loans or vehicles on finance. Just email them, call them, speak to them. Anything just to relieve that stress, that burden, whether it be for a month, 2-3 months, anything like that can really help, I think. It's sort of, like you say, going back to basics and almost just survival mode, isn't it, really, in this time when there's physically no work coming because a lot of engineers will be living sort of quite hand to mouth. They rely on, that next job and repetition. So if there's a sudden break in that chain, you need to sort of act quite smart. I mean, there's a guy that I follow who he's got his own podcast and everything. James Sinclair, he runs or did run quite a large business. They employ hundreds of people. He had to close. He's a really savvy guy. He's done really well, but I think he said his outgoings were something like, I think it was 30 grand a day, something crazy, because he owns like sort of kids play parks and park farms and stuff like that. So and it was just a complete shut. So he's gone from trading to not trading overnight, pretty much, and he had to make that horrible call of just closing down. So just do what you can. It's just a case of hanging on in there, but equally, don't be a hero. I get that you've got to get food on the table and everything else, but like we said off the mic, if you're eating beans for a few weeks, it's better than being dead, isn't it? I know it's extreme, but that's how it is at the minute, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's no joke. The picture that I'm getting from the groups that I run, Plum Chat, Off the Tools, that we're on. There's a lot of people that live day to day. Not everyone is fortunate enough to have savings or have backup money or things like that. So we can only do, it's all right saying in hindsight, we should have saved some more money. We should have charged more and put money aside. That's another conversation. Okay, that's irrelevant now. What you can only do what you can do right now. Okay, yeah. What money you've got now is what you've got. So we've got to deal with that situation. There's no point thinking I should have done this, I should have done that, I wish I'd done that. That's bullshit, right? We are here. We're here. We're there. This is where we are. That's where we have to start this next part of our life from. So you need to start taking responsibility for yourself. Hopefully the government will help us too, but they might not. It might not come through for months, weeks. Who knows? I don't know. I haven't got a crystal ball. All I know is that right now, whatever is in your bank or under your mattress, whatever it is what you've got. And you've got to now play with that safely and really be responsible. I think we've lived in an era that have never had a real, I'm speaking broadly here, that we've never really had hardships, big hardships, not like previous generations that have gone through rationing, wars. This is our test. This is our first test in in a couple of generations. So we can't be blamed for not being too prepared. I'm not prepared for this. I wasn't expecting this. So I'm having to see what's going on, assess what's happening, and make calls and do things that are going to protect my family first, and then my business. And that's the key there, is health before wealth. So you've got to, I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
You've got to put your health before anything else. And more importantly, your family. Do you know that's for me is the most important thing, which is why I took the decision to self-isolate for a period of time. And that was this might sound crazy, but I hate the unknown. Okay. I know it comes as part of life, and it is what it is. So I wanted to buy myself a window of safety to assess what was going on, so I could get a grasp on what the government actually knew, what the facts were, what was going on. And so I've put myself in a lesser financial state now by taking that decision. But for me, that outweighed. I wanted the safety of my family first. I'd rather have no house, no van, no business, but have my family. So that's what people have got to put at the forefront of all of this is family.
Yeah, right. So on that note, we've covered sort of what are a lot of almost negatives. Equally, this is a big opportunity for business owners, not just business owners, people on the tools as well. So we've got a few bullet points about how you can sort of maximize your downtime. We'll probably do a separate episode, we think, about being comeback ready, because we've got loads of notes on that, and we can fill a whole episode. So in terms of maximizing this period of downtime where you're locked down, there's loads of things you can do. I mean, obviously, like you said, Wayne, don't waste your time on Netflix. If you want to watch something, if you're more of a visual person, get on YouTube, learn how to do something, whether it be like me and you said, video editing, anything, launching your own podcast. Who knows? It could be anything. Just learn. Could be something about business. What other sort of tips have you got? I mean, we've made a note here about sorting through your customer database. Do you want to talk us through a bit about that?
Yes. So anyone that follows anything that I do will know my thoughts on learning. We should be learning every single day anyway. This is how I live my life. But even more so in this period where we have a little bit more time and a little bit more headspace, learning something that will help us either in our life or business or whatever it might be is so important. But what Dom mentioned, I'll jump back a bit here to about sorting out your software and things. So first of all, if you haven't got any software within your business to manage it, CRM system, now's a perfect time. Do some research, try all the different ones. There's countless ones out there. Again, if you follow anything that I do, I love ServiceMate, but there are plenty more out there. Commusoft, Expert Trades, Gas Engineer Software, Gas Checker. They're countless. Sorry if I haven't mentioned any certain ones. There's loads out there. But now's the perfect time. So if you haven't got one, now that you've got no excuse not to start looking into it. Okay, they all do free trials, so you've got no financial commitment. You can just dig in and start looking. If you have already got a software that you're using, again, now's the perfect time to start getting organized. Every single day across the groups, Facebook groups and Instagram and things like that, I get people saying, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. That's why my books are in a mess. That's why I don't send out service reminders. Now, again, no excuses now, guys. We can work on this. This is for me, this is what I'm embracing about this period of time, is that I'm going to be going through every aspect of my business. Most importantly, I'm looking at my records of customers. So going through, sorting out duplicates, sorting out misspellings, sorting out contact details. Then from that, I'm extracting, I haven't seen her for a few years. Maybe, I'm putting her on a list to contact to say, look, your boiler's may be due. Trying to be ready to drum up work for when we can get back to it. So there's definitely one thing you should be doing while we're all on this downtime.
Yeah. Do you obviously service reminders are quite a handy one, aren't they? And that's something. I mean, I use Commusoft, and I'm guilty of not getting on top of those. That is this is a perfect opportunity, isn't it? To push those service reminders, make sure you haven't missed any, whether that be appointments to book in or service reminders to set up. Do you do all of that through ServiceMate as well?
Yes, so ServiceMate is the hub of my business. It does everything. I link it to my Xero, so I do my financial reporting through Xero, but everything day to day, job management wise, payment wise, all goes through ServiceMate. And we were talking about service reminders. What better time? You again, you guys that listen to me regularly, you know that I do service plans, and for me, that has been my lifeline during this crisis. I know that I've got a certain amount of money coming in. Yes, some people are going to cancel because they're going to be cutting back on things, but I'm still getting a regular income. So one of my tasks while I'm off is to communicate with these people. I've been meaning to do it for months, set up some regular communication. And now that's one of the things I'm going to be doing, because people forget about us. We're only plumbers at the end of the day, or heating engineers, whatever you want to label yourself as. So we need to have communication with our customers as part of a marketing plan for the overall business. But yeah, so service plans, if you haven't ever thought about it, now's the time. Again, you've got time to research it. You've got time to think about it. And a little plug for my own thing. I do a service plan training that I offer. Reach out to me. I'm more than willing to help where I can. So let me know.
Yeah, brilliant. They're well worth doing that, because, like you say, service plans right now are an absolute godsend. So another point that would be worth mentioning, I mean, we're sort of nearly approaching the half-hour mark already. How can we, as business owners, go about raising the average customer value? Because it costs money to get them in as a lead and to convert them. So obviously we want to make them as valuable as possible. I mean, what ideas have you got there, Wayne, for sort of just raising the average customer value?
So for me, it was 3 years ago. I would never have known what you meant. What do you mean customer value? What are you on about? But since I've sort of developed as a person and as a businessman, getting that customer value up is so important. And I have to stress here, this is not about selling things that are not needed. I'm not saying go around and rip off Mrs. Jones down the road. What I'm saying is be proactive. If you're there servicing a boiler and they haven't got a carbon monoxide alarm, in my opinion, you're doing a disservice by not offering a solution to that problem. Okay, it's a safety issue. Again, in my eyes, it should be mandatory that any gas appliance has a carbon monoxide alarm, but that's another battle. So little things like that, not going to make you a huge amount of money. But if you could make a tenner on a carbon monoxide alarm and you sell 5 a week, that's 50 quid. You said do that every week. Before you know it, you've got thousands of pounds extra coming in. That's just one thing. Another thing is, you got, for example, I haven't thought about this. This is just off the cuff, right? You've got old people that have got old manky stopcocks. Okay, they have a leak. What are they going to do? Especially at a time like now, this is where they were going to wish they would have spent a bit of money on preparing. You could sell them a short stop. Again, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to tell you to rip someone off, but you can give that customer, if she's a 75-year-old lady that can't crouch down, what better solution than getting a shore stop fitted under a kitchen sink high up, so all she has to do is flick a light switch to stop it. Yeah. So and that's ways that you can help the customer, and then the customer can help you, because you're going to be earning more money. It's, again, always look for a deal that is win-win. It's so important. Yeah, exactly. It's like people with bad backs wish they had gone to the chiropractor before it affected.
Yeah, really valid, mate. Okay, I think we've covered off all of our points on that one. Like I say, we've got definitely another episode to come on being comeback ready, which we'll make a bit of a
Yes,
bumper
I can't
episode
wait for that one.
because I think it's
Yeah.
important. We'll sort of add to it. Yeah, so I definitely think that'll be the one to look out for. So we'll wrap up. We're nearly at half hour.
So
Wayne, thank you very much,
just-
mate.
Lovely. Thanks for having me. Just before we finish, make sure that if you're listening on my podcast, which is called Off the Tools Podcast, make sure you check out Dom's podcast, which is called Pure Boilers Podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. And then obviously the same in reverse. Brilliant.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Have a good one. Stay safe,
Well,
everyone.
thank you, mate. Cheers.
I really hope you enjoyed the show. I just wanted to put it out there for anyone listening that I offer business coaching, but also life coaching. My life is centered around something called the 3 Bs, which stands for body, business, and balance. When you work with me as a coach, we tackle all 3 aspects of life. So you as an individual, body, mindset, health, fitness, knowledge, education. Business B obviously stands for your business, improving, maximizing opportunities, elevating, making more money. And balance stands for your friends, family, loved ones, making time for everything in your life. And the 3 Bs is the core element to that. If you'd like to learn more, I would ask you to reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you might be consuming my information. Or you can email me directly at wayne@offthetools.co.uk. I'm here waiting to assist you to elevate across all aspects of life. Have a good one. No excuses. Let's go.